Winner of the barbecue eating contest, Mr. Zach Mears. Zach, first of all, congratulations. I don't know how on earth you did it, but I applaud you for doing it. I really don't know how you did. And I guess that's my first question. How on earth did you win that contest?
Well, I'm not really sure. It was tough. There was a lot of nachos. That was the hardest part. But I somehow made it through. I don't really know.
It seemed like you had a game plan to leave the nachos for last. I kind of alluded to it on our broadcast. It's like they always say don't fill up on bread when you go to a restaurant, right? That kind of seemed like you wanted to attack the protein, and you feel that would fill you up a little bit.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. So I took out all the smoked meats on the sandwich first and then went from there.
I have to ask one more question. What was that smoked bologna? It looked good.
Oh, it was delicious. The whole thing, all of it was really good.
Now, they gave you one heck of a prize for winning this thing. They showed me earlier, and I wanted it, but I don't have the kind of guts, no pun intended, to eat 3 pounds of food in 15 minutes. What does it feel like to know that that's going home with you tonight?
Feels good. This is be nice to put on maybe a trophy room one day or something. I don't know. Remember the 3-pound food challenge that I did.
Now, I assume that when we play Pitt this year, that's going to be front and center of the big party you hold when we beat them, and that's going to be the story you talk about when everyone rolls in the door, ain't it?
Yeah, and then we might be able to burn a couch or two.
That's the plan, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the plan. Now, speaking of burning couches, we'll slide you on out here, Zach. Thank you so much. And we'll bring in Mr. K. Kincaid, the Mountaineer. That's right. As a WVU fan for life, this is a dream come true to interview the Mountaineer. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Oh, you are from here. What's it like to be back in this capacity?
It means a lot to me just because I really do love this area. I feel like it's underserved in some forms, and I never saw the Mountaineer growing up, so it's really cool to come back and be able to do that, and especially because Dad's from Ansted, I'm from Fayetteville, and got too many friends in Oak Hill, so this whole county is just home to me.
Now, what were the emotions like when you were announced as the winner? Can you kind of take me back to that moment?
Yeah, no, I don't know why. It just made me sick. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, my stomach just dropped, and it was like that for 5 hours after. I was just, like, in disbelief, and then I've been on the ground running ever since. I've just stayed busy the whole time.
I was going to say, you were going over some of the schedule. I mean, you're at every whole athletic event, all football games. So when we go to Texas Tech, you're going to Texas Tech. You're going to Arizona. You're going to Colorado, everywhere in the new Big 12. What's that been like for you so far? And I guess, what are you looking forward to the most going forward?
Yeah, baseball was a blast. Our team went out and, it was fun to be the Mountaineer for the back end of that, and just see how they played was unbelievable as a baseball fan. But also, just thinking about the future of just football and all that stuff as a fan, and as somebody from West Virginia, it was like all we went to was WVU games, and now to be immersed into it instead of just being a fan is going to be unbelievable.
And you joined us a very select club. There haven't been that many. I mean, especially when you consider the amount of people who have gone to West Virginia University. Yeah. To me now, the Mountaineer, I'm sure that's an honor I can't even begin to fathom. And I congratulate you for it.
Thank you. It is an honor. It's the coolest thing ever.
It's the coolest thing ever for me to get a chance to talk to you, and I hate to go all fanboy, but it really is a big honor to have a Fayette County Mountaineer and to talk to him in this capacity.
I get it. If it was anybody other than myself from Fayette County, I'd be ecstatic too, because this is home, and I love this county, I love this town, I love everything about this area and this state, so it's always a blast.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You heard it from himself, the Mountaineer, with us on the Nerva Network.
You have a good day. Okay, it's nice talking to you.
everything else at this festival, we have a trip back in time for you. A time machine. I didn't invent it, but I happen to use it. I'm here with the 5th Virginia Company G. I remember that part. Now this is, like I said, it's a real step back in time to the war between the states. And can you tell me a little bit about this group and just this and what are you doing here? What's the mission, so to speak, as we are here in the Ansted Heritage Festival today?
Okay. Well, one of the things that we look forward to doing here, and specifically at this event, is we're out here talking with the public. We're actually rebuilding the 5th Virginia Company G for the 4th time, I might add. But I started reenacting in 1988. So I joined this infantry company, and I'm a relative dinosaur because I've never been with any other unit. I've always been this unit, and that's it. So therefore, with that being said, it's important, very important for us to get out here and talk to people about history. I mean, the kids today, they're not learning history. They seem like, Google seems to be the answer for everything, and sometimes you have to understand that you can't go out here and feel the heat. You can't go out here and feel the cold. You can't feel how wet you get when you're marching and it's raining. I mean, we go through all that. That's physical, that's here, that's now. So we bring a little bit of the 19th century alive for these folks, for the children. And I have with me, I'd like, first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Ricky Henry. I am a captain of the 5th Regiment of Virginia Volunteer Infantry Company G, commanding. Standing beside me,
Timothy Green, chaplain of the 5th. I do this to make sure that the people don't forget what the men fought for and the men live, because most of the men in the Civil War, both Union and Confederate, were Christians. And there was a great revival during the Civil War, starting in 62, going through 64.
I didn't actually know that. I love learning about the Civil War. I just a couple of years ago I went to Gettysburg and Antietam, and it was very interesting to see all those places and to see as Lincoln called it, we cannot hallow this ground, right? Only by respecting it can we do that. So
both sides with that speech. And the Southerners as well as the Northerners understood what he was talking about. They respected that he spoke for the young men, the old men, brothers, neighbors, cousins, fathers, sons. I mean, this was a war. No war could possibly have been more divided other than the state of West Virginia. State of West Virginia, as a Southerner, we would always call it Western Virginia because it was an occupied location. The point being is the simple fact that the Southerners, what they were out here for, especially in the Stonewall Brigade, okay? Jackson always referred to us as the Army of God, the Army of God. We were here to fight the Second War of Independence. That was what it was all about. We just simply wanted to be left alone, left to freely govern as we choose. There was always a question, all the way back to the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. There was always the question, what do we do about slavery? Okay? Here's the interesting thing about that. And this is something that you don't hear about and you don't think about. A lot of times when I'm at school and I hear the young man respectfully say, well, this war was fought over slavery. Okay, I went over and shook his hand and says, welcome to the Union Army. Basically, that's the viewpoint. Where I grew up in Pennsylvania, this war was fought over slavery. If you ask a second time, you're being disrespectful, and you'll be sent to the principal's office. That's how I was taught American history, okay, especially about the Civil War. It mitigated major things that they believed the South was about, and most of it was not accurate in any way, shape, or form. 1860 census. I've already explained that to some people that have brought that up about the slavery issue. Okay, there were about 25,000 freed blacks in the state of Virginia by alone. At least 20,000 freed blacks. My question is, if this war was over slavery, why did they defend their homes? Why did they join the Confederate Army? It's documented they were there. The only difference is in the Confederate Army, they were infiltrated into the existing companies. They were not separated. They paid the same rate, and they were given respect. There was a staff officer. This was strictly forbidden in the Union Army. There was a staff officer who was a major. His last name was Delaney. That was something that was not heard of, that there was actually a black officer that rose all the way up to the rank of major. He was on staff with the War Department. Okay? I hear also a lot of the issues that we hear from people from here to here, especially big in the South. Well, we were fighting for states' rights. Okay? I've had that answer as well from children. At elementary schools, at high school level, I've heard that. Okay? And I've heard it from a lot of Southern reenactors. Here's the problem with the states' rights issue. In the city of Savannah, when Sherman marched the sea through Georgia in 1864, he actually occupied the city of Savannah and chose that he was going to give it to Abraham Lincoln as a birthday present, as an early birthday present. Okay? When the troops moved into Savannah, the Southern troops withdrew and burned the only bridge leading out. And so the Union troops found the warehouse. Inside this warehouse was shoes, coats, blankets, rifles, pistols, uniform parts like you wouldn't believe. They were all over the place in this warehouse. Okay, the Union Army went in there, replenished what they needed, okay, and then burned the rest of the ground. Okay, now, do you know why that was in existence? Because the Georgia governor made the comment, this equipment is for Georgia troops only. Meanwhile, Southerners fighting for that cause were starving and freezing in Petersburg when this happened. Okay? And the interesting thing about the whole thing is this is the answer to states' rights. If you're an educator, if you're somebody that wants to talk to Southerners, they bring that up a lot. Okay? The problem with states' rights is that governors of the South believed if we're not going to listen to a president in Washington, D.C., why should we be forced to listen to a president in Richmond? So, to be honest with you, this is what most Southerners should understand. They should think about this just for a second. Understand what the point was from Jackson. This is the Second War of Independence. Independence is solely the purpose of the Southern Army and the reason that the Southern Army fought so well and for so long. They believed that they had the right to secede from the Union and build their own country.
Now, one thing I have to ask, I've heard about Civil War reenacting for almost all my life. I actually knew friends and family who did it. Right. They would go over to Carnifex Ferry and reenact that battle. I remember several times. Yes. But I have never had the privilege of seeing a Civil War reenactment. I feel like it's kind of fallen off in recent years, and I might be mistaken in that. But it feels like there's not quite as much. You don't hear about it quite as much. What's the joy in going out there and doing that? You alluded to it earlier when you were talking about bringing history to life. You can't simulate marching and soaking wet through, feet of mud, 20 miles, 30 miles in a day. You can't simulate that on a computer or online. Right. But I would imagine for someone like you who clearly is invested, you were saying earlier, anyone who's willing to get in wool and 90-degree heat is something else, right? That's a brotherhood. That's people who have quite a bit of more guts than I'll tell you that much. Right. But what do you all get out of it from being able to do this, I presume, region-wide, not just statewide in West Virginia?
Okay, one of the things that I can answer that question as to the drop-off. Okay, the drop-off several things happened. The 150th Gettysburg, my affiliation, Longstreet's Corps, we're part of Longstreet's Corps, my affiliation hosted the largest Gettysburg reenactment in the 150th. I met people there I hadn't seen in 20 years because it was like a last hurrah for a lot of guys. A lot of men just simply gave it up, okay? COVID was a major factor in cancellations of events. A lot of those reenactments you're talking about. See, this is the understanding thing about this. We build here, okay? The 5th Virginia, Company G, builds here. But we understand one thing. You don't get a real taste of what this is about till you go to Virginia, till you go to Pennsylvania, till you go to Ohio, okay? That's where you go. I was referring to Southern officers not understanding, the numbers game, okay? This is the point. When you're faced with that kind of adversity, you learn quickly or you just die a lot because you're heavily outnumbered everywhere. And especially when they do what's called a tactical fight. We used to love those. My company, being part of a Confederate affiliate up in Pennsylvania, we went 2.5 years without losing a tactical fight. That means you're going out in the woods, the Union are doing what they're doing, the Confederates are out there doing their thing. No designated winner, no fans, no crowd, no civilians whatsoever. We're out there, and that's where you really learn how to work together.
I would imagine that as I talked about, I opened this with saying it's like a time machine. I don't imagine the tactical battle is almost like stepping back in time because there was no fans. There's just you almost simulating stepping back into that Confederate soldier's shoes back in 1863 and 1862.
Yes, that's one of the things when you're making that conversion. One of the things that I've always believed in is there are many different reasons why reenactors would do this hobby. As an example, some of them it's like Timmy who do it for heritage. This gentleman, he's doing it because he's got a love of history. He loves history, and he's experienced numerous things that draw people into this hobby. Here's the thing. There's a lot of things out there. Our company is what's called a dry unit because my captain, when we first built the bylaws, number one rule was no drinking. We're a Christian-based, family-oriented unit. Many of the mainstreamers are that. That's what it's all about. The mainstreamers, we're out here for history, we're out here to teach, and we're also out here to experience and learn from each other. Everybody has a skill that they bring into this thing. I mean, I've seen amazing things in this hobby. I've seen young men going to a father of a unit that's not necessarily his own. I've seen young men go to a father to ask if he could escort the girl that is the father's daughter. He asked for permission to escort her to the ball. I've seen that happen. That doesn't happen in real life, ever. But I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen guys step into the 19th century role. The hardest thing that you learn is understand one thing. When I opened up that book the first time, you got to understand one problem. 19th century script. It's written in words that we can't understand. It took me years to understand what they were referring to when they said each motion has an action, and each action is to take the 90th part of a minute.
Yeah, that's going to take me a while to unwrap. I'm going to be stuck on that all day.
Yeah.
I know I am.
Yep. And that's what it was all about, is you had to take it one paragraph at a time. I have a rarity now. About 50% of our chain of command, I'm talking non-commissioned officers, high percentage of them are former military, okay? Now, this is the fun thing I love doing with guys when they first come in to the military. I like, all right, how many years were you in? Thank you for your service. Okay, can you show me a right face? Okay, toe heel, right face. All right. How about a left face? Toe heel, left face. All right. About face. Same thing. Toe heel. Now I look at them and says, now do you want to learn how to do it right? And they look at me like, yeah. I'm 100% guaranteeing you it's not the same way. The heel plates, it's hard to see, but there's heel plates on the bottom of these shoes. And according to the manuals, when you're doing simple facings like that, something as simple as that, you're lifting a toe and pivoting with the heel of your shoe. That is how to do a left face, a right face, or an about face. You're using the heel of that shoe. That's why you're using this metal part. And, I mean, there's so many things to teach. I had a Marine that was looking for a unit to join for 10 years in West Virginia. He was very knowledgeable, but his problem is he kept walking into camps and finding out that the officer in charge, he knew more than the officer in charge.
Well, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem because, I mean, if you're walking in, you're looking to learn something, and this officer, within 5 or 10 minutes, you realize that you know more than he does about the history. Well, this gentleman, his name was Irvin Scarberry. Hi, Irvin, you're a great friend. Always will be, brother. But anyway, Irvin walked into, he was told to come see Captain Henry at Hurricane, at the event at Hurricane at the end of March of every year. He said he's always there. Well, my first sergeant had already given the first calls because we're getting ready to go out and drill. That's what we do. And I had these two gentlemen come walking into my camp asking me questions. And I started talking with this gentleman, this Marine that I mentioned. And in the first 10 minutes, I had to correct him about a dozen times about Stonewall Brigade history. And he handed me his dues right there, then and there. He said, how much are your dues? I was a lieutenant at the time. How much are your dues, Lieutenant? I says, we only take $10 a family. We're a family unit. We don't look. We're just having to pay for insurance and things through Longstreet's Corps. So that's what we do with the money. So that's the important thing is we're out here to teach people. If we can't teach people, first of all, how to love each other. That's what's here. That's why there's so many modern military. These guys are brothers. Like you said, we're standing. I remember the 130th Gettysburg. I'll tell a little story if you got time. Okay, 130th Gettysburg. Okay, the average. It was a 5-day event. The average heat was of 102. Humidity was about 98%. Yeah, I had to walk all the way back to Gettysburg from the camp one time because that's where my wife was at. So I told her, well, when I go back, it was Saturday morning. I'm going to go back Saturday morning, and then I'll be there the rest of the weekend. I'll find a bivouac spot. So I took my gum blankets and one blanket, which is about all. You know, that's what Jackson said. Give a man one good blanket, a stouty pair of shoes, and send him out amongst the military people. It says Jackson's carry no baggage, no extra baggage. So that's what we did. And to give you a little interesting, it was so hot that Saturday evening that they mentioned they're going to cancel the nighttime fight on Saturday evening. Okay? Well, this one group of idiot Confederates, I won't say who they were. I take the fifth on that. But anyway, this goofy little group of Confederates, about 17 or 18 of us, none of the officers went out. Just NCO led. I was the first sergeant. They had a first sergeant. So we covered both ends of the line. Yeah, we walked out, and at the bottom of the hill, we got to the bottom of this hill, and going up the hill was the whole federal camp. And these idiots, I don't know who they came up with the idea. Probably the other first sergeant, I won't say. But anyway, we decided to sucker the Yankees into doing this battle because we went to the bottom of the hill and started clucking like chickens.
Oh, no.
Yeah, oh no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah, oh no. 17, 18 men, we looked up, up the hill, and at one point there were about 200 Federals walking down the hill towards us. And we're like, guys, this might not be such a good idea. And then the other first sergeant said, hey, look, first sergeant, look behind us. We looked behind us, and battalion after battalion after battalion of Confederate infantry was going out marching to the battlefield.
Oh, there we go.
So we started a battle, and we got a fight going. Yep.
That's a story and a half.
Yep.
That really is.
It's part of the fun of the hobby is you do stuff like that, you know, and the key to it, this is what's going to bring us back. The key to it is let's put fun into it. I mean, we've done scenarios that are crazy. We had people come in after a battle with the 5th and the 1st West Virginia. Kevin Skaggs recently passed away. He was the captain of the 1st West Virginia. They did events with us in Beckley one year, and we organized a thing where we were basically went and chased the Yankees out of camp, and then our guys started pilfering through, taking shoes and that, and all our ladies and all their ladies were under the tent of the federal camp, and they were instructed to grab anything they could find. They came out with rolling pins, with frying pans, with everything you could think of. And I'm standing there yelling at the first social. He's yelling at the men, and then we're looking at all these ladies coming towards us. And we're like, discretion is probably the better part of valor. Let's get the heck out of here. So I went back to General Lee, who was Al Stone. He's local. Went down back to Al Stone, saluted, said, "Sir, I have never been so rudely repulsed in my life." So those are the kind of things that we do. And that's what's going to draw more people into this. It's brotherhood. It's learning of history. You have to learn how to do things. I've had a problem with officers for a long time because I run into too many officers. Like, I know tactics really well, but I don't know the infantry commands. It's in a book. Open it up.
Sorry, I was looking on time. We're doing other things here today. We're just making sure. I hate to cut you off, but
you're fine.
No, I do thank you for taking the time. I really do.
Yep. Well, as my guys know, that's why they always point at me. It's been happening that way since I was an enlisted private.
That would probably be me if I was in this. I guarantee it would be.
Well, you're welcome to come anytime.
I might just have to take you up on that. We'll see if we can find anything else around here. Maybe we've got the barbecue eating contest coming up in short order as well. Maybe we'll make our own version of the mess hall. How about that?